You guys know what time it is. It's Japanese Lunchtime Rush. Hey everybody, it's me, MiaFran again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another video. From 2008 to 2014, the original run of Fujimaki's shonen sports manga Kuroko no Basket reigned supreme, and in 2012, we got the first season of the anime adaptation, produced by Production IG, until the anime series ended in 2015 with 3 seasons and a movie in 2017. Now, as a fan of the series, I was introduced to it a few years after the anime ended, but it still remains my favorite sports anime of all time. With its great humor, special abilities only found in shonen titles, and a cast of colorful characters both literally and figuratively, it's definitely one of the more reality-defying sports series, as opposed to more realistic series like Haikyuu. And as fans of the series grew in numbers, so did the desire and curiosity of what an English dub would sound like. So years went on, and finally back in November of 2020, so back in November of last year, even as the world was thrown into chaos, we finally got an announcement that SAG-AFTRA had listed an English dub of the series slated for release on Netflix in January of 2021. Well, it's been about 2 weeks as of this recording since the first season was put onto Netflix, and what's the verdict? It's easily, hands down, one of the best dubs I've heard in a very long time. Not only is the casting absolutely stellar, the direction, writing, and overall vibe you get from the dub really gives you that nostalgic feel of the original Japanese, along with feeling very new and very fresh. Now, the performances of the English VAs really cemented my love for the series, something that hasn't happened for quite a while, where I enjoy both the Japanese and English audio tracks with zero qualms. Dubs have definitely come a long way since the debate of dubs versus subs came to be, and it's adamant that even older shows like Kuroko no Basket can still get licensed and dubbed years after they finish their original airing. And speaking of the people that provide the speaking voices of the characters, I bet you're wanting to know if any performances stand out. Oh, trust me, a lot of them, if not all of them, do stand out. And we're just going to cover the main boys in this video, so basically the generation of miracles and the main characters. But I am going to name some others you should listen out for by name if I don't really go into detail for them. So first off, we're going to start with the title and main character, Tetsuya Kuroko, who's voiced by Koidao in English, and much like Kensho Ono in the Japanese, he really puts a lot of heart into the character. Now, the tone of his voice really matches well with the character while he moves on screen, and it also really helped that Dao also directed episodes 14 through 20 and adapted the script for about a third of the first season, as he revealed on Twitter. Now, along with Jalen K. Cassell, who also voiced one of my favorite characters, Kiyoshi, they did a damn great job of directing the actors who bring these characters to life in English. And as lots of English dubs often do, Dao also voices the English dubbed voice of Nigo, or Tetsuya number 2. So that's also one performance I definitely think you should look out for. Now, moving on to a literal powerhouse in the series is our other main protagonist, Taiga Kagami, who in English is voiced by the badass and amazingly talented Zeno Robinson, whom y'all may recognize as the sexy and rightfully cocky pro hero Hawks in My Hero Academia. Now, Zeno brings the thunderous nature of Kagami to life. He really makes sure that not only is Kagami hungry for growth, but he's also a hilarious yet good-natured guy. I absolutely love hearing that gruff tone that Zeno brings to a lot of his other characters in English dubs, but he also has this little inkling of vulnerability that I think really shines specifically in the English dub for Kuroko'S of Kagami's voice. And they definitely didn't disappoint with probably the biggest meme ever to have come out of the series.
This is Japanese Lunchtime Rush! This must be the infamous Japanese Lunchtime Rush.
It was funny in Japanese and equally funny in English. I was actually worried that this moment would get lost in translation, but the way that the line was delivered still really packed a funny punch. It was more with the delivery rather than what was being said. It definitely gave it a new spin on the hilarious element of that line specifically. Now, the series also wouldn't be the same without one of my favorite characters, Ryota Kise. So in the dub, he's voiced by Eric Scott Kimmerer. In his jealousy and confusion, that tone of his voice, specifically in the Kise OVA, that really brings out the playfulness of what the character has eventually become when we first meet him in the beginning of the series. And I definitely think Kise was going to be a hard one to cast, especially since he's the like cocky pretty boy of the Generation of Miracles. And so what I really think shines in the dub is how Eric Kimmerer can pull off that same cockiness while sounding naive and concerned all in one, you know, because Kise is a very dynamic character, especially within the OVA, where you get to see Kise join the Generation of Miracles when they're in middle school for the very first time. He's definitely very confused, especially as to why Kuroko is a regular on the first string of the team. Kise has really played well, especially in that OVA. So again, props to the amazing direction and writing for that specific episode as well. Another character, Shintaro Midorima, he's never been one of my favorites, but I definitely think that Damon Mill's performance as this character makes me appreciate him more than I did before when I just watched the Japanese. It's fun to hear him boast his luck to all of the other characters without making me roll my eyes. And Midorima is one of those characters who you either really love him or you really hate him, and he was definitely on my like list rather than my okay, he's pretty decent list in terms of just character in general. It's really a performance to behold, especially because I think this sort of character suits Damon Mill's lower register very well. And his voice can really sound good when he plays these like very not evil natured, but just like his intention is to kind of intimidate you. And you know, he's very cocky. He's also a very cocky kind of person, especially when it comes to his luck. So if he has really good luck, he definitely is going to want to let you know that he intends to win no matter what, and that he's going to win because that's how much he puts his faith and trust into the horoscopes. So I definitely think that's another part of the character that, again, I can appreciate more in English rather than in the sub. Because Midorima can come off as too pushy for some, I feel, and he's just the right amount of that for me in the dub. And it's also really great to hear him play off of Takao, one of his teammates at Shutoku High School. And in the dub, Takao's voiced by Sean Chiplock. So their back and forth is easily one of my favorite parts of the dub specifically. And now to the character that I was the most worried about. Now, y'all know I absolutely adore Junichi Suabe and anything that he's in. So when his portrayal of Daiki Aomina became one of my favorites in the Japanese, I was both hesitant and curious to find out who would voice him in English. And to my surprise and my delight, it was Ben Diskin, whom I think everyone can recognize not only from roles like Victor and Mr. Love, Shido in BNA, Bon in Seven Deadly Sins, but from our childhoods as well, with roles in Hey Arnold, Kids Next Door, and the Kingdom Hearts series. And Ben really brings his all to this role. He matches perfectly to the same vibe that I loved about Suabe-san's performance in the Japanese. You know, Aomina is rude and arrogant, but he can also be a super nice guy once you actually get to know him and become friends with him. He knows what he likes and how he wants to play basketball, and nowhere is that specifically evident that the English writers, directors, and of course the voice actor show more than when he says his famous line of "the only one who can beat me is me." It's a stunningly honest performance, and I definitely think that it's going down as one of Ben Diskin's best. Now, just to tie all of this up at the end here, both Akashi and Murasaki Bara don't get too much screen time in the first season, so I'll briefly talk about them now together in this one little segment. So both Alex Lee and Robbie Damon bring fresh takes on these characters that I think actually work better in English than they would in Japanese, the way that they portray these characters. Alex Lee plays Akashi more with the same kind of tone that he uses when he's doing Shaw's voice, like in Mr. Love. Rather than his more upbeat Kaiman voice, or maybe even Zenitsu in Kaiman and Dorohedoro and Zenitsu in Demon Slayer. And I also think it really fits with the mysterious and sinister nature that we get from Akashi before we fully meet him later on in the series. As far as Robbie Daymond is concerned, he brings out more of Murasakibara's nonchalant nature rather than his hunger like in the Japanese. It still really fits with who Murasakibara is, and I, for one, can't wait to hear more of it in Season 2 onward. And another couple of characters that I'm going to mention here are Momoi and Riko, because they're the only two prominent female characters that we're going to be seeing for the time being until we meet Alex later on in the series. So, portrayed by Xanthe Wyn and Abby Trott respectively, they both also bring a fresh take on these characters. While Momoi also isn't one of my favorite characters, I do appreciate how toned down her voice is in English compared to how a lot of the time in Japanese. She just kind of sounds like your typical annoying female character with a crush on the protagonist. Because Momoi is really smart. She's tactful and she's very observant. And the game between Seirin and Toho Academy is probably the best example of how masterful Xanthe gets those characteristics out. And with Riko, Abby really adds this friendly quality to it that I think is subdued in the Japanese. Like, you just want to, you really hang out with Riko and get a milkshake with her after school more in the dub. I really, really enjoy the way that she analyzes all the players as she watches them in the dub too, while also giving her that silly little lilt at the ends of her sentences when things don't always go as planned, especially when she's interacting with her players like Hyuga and Kogane as an example. But overall, what I wanted to do with this video was to really highlight the main cast of the Kuroko dub, because I think a lot of people were skeptical or hesitant to listen to it because it is an older series and because it's an English dub. But trust me, I guarantee this is absolute god tier level dubbing, up there with the likes of Fullmetal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop, and My Hero Academia. And I'll definitely make a video for seasons 2 and 3 when they do eventually get dubbed as well. I know they are currently dubbing the rest of Kuroko no Basuke, so we should be able to get those next 2 seasons out pretty fast, and hopefully they do also get to dub the last game movie as well. Now, if you guys want a more in-depth review of the entire dub, please let me know down below in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video if you did enjoy it. Please follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and the podcast channel on Twitter. All my links are in the description, and please consider becoming a patron today. And speaking of my Patreon, I want to make a special shout out to Anime Palooza for being a patron. If you guys want to know more about how you can get a special shout out or have your name shown here on screen at the end of every single one of my YouTube videos, click the link below for more info. So have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!